first best of 5 to kick things off here at the knockout stage is Liquid Echo on the blue side up against Falcon Esports on red.
Now, this is very uncharacteristic of me to be optimistic about an Alucard, but hey, putting Brave Smite on it and then building it semi-tank might be good, but now in mid, now, this is very uncharacteristic of me to be optimistic about an Alucard, but hey, putting Brave Smite on it and then building it semi-tank might be good. But now in mid, JP and Sanji putting PX7 and Kid X down to, well, a third of their health. Wow, that's a double TKO.
I mean, Falcon Esports, they got to be real aggressive in the earlier stages. I mean, Royal Milk is not going to win this lane very easily, and for the most part of it, when it comes down to team fights, the only way I can see it happening is if the rest of the lanes are doing so well that Royal Milk can be the big cleanup rather than Dax.
All right, so if you're saying the rest of the other lanes, mid and gold, not looking good, because look, Benny's getting bullied out. Here we go, 2v1 up top. Oh, it's easy. Forcing out a vengeance from Royal Milk, and that's going to be it, first blood.
Instantly finding that chink in the armor and punishing it early. Like Wolf mentioned, level 3, find that instant gank, and Liquid Echo are on the board.
So far, again, Sanford is incentivized to go aggressive, builds the casual Fury Hammer, and then can go ham from here. Like, you can just start just greeting out. Because again, what's Alucard gonna do?
I mean, that's true, and he will need some time to scale, right? Ideally, he would like to snowball, but looking at the items and as well as the emblem build so far, like, I'm mostly curious about the duality of the Bennies of the Bennyverse. Benny QT up against Benny on Harith as of right now. The Azure Blade instantly purchased, and I think both sides want to win their lane. It's not just about hyper farming.
Yeah, but the only difference is Benny from Myanmar has to actually commit the fights. Benny Cutie from the Philippines can actually just look for the fight, send the SOD, and then join in.
For now, they're going to take their time, and here's the first turtle dance of this game. Let's see how they approach it, because again, I'm not seeing level 4s on supports just yet.
Yeah, oddly enough, you mentioned the turtle dance, which is more of the dance we're seeing, less of the Lord dance, because those almost immediately turn into turns. They almost just always collapse into a team fight, but the turtle dance, look at this, it's a thing of beauty. Coming in, Sanford forcing PX7 back into that bush, gets frozen a wee bit. Royal Milk taking control of that northern bush. Carl Deasy clean secure.
Yeah, this is the scary part. Now that JP is already level 4, at any point of time, he can initiate a fight that Liquid Echo can instantly capitalize on, and I think it might be towards this top side of the map. Oh man, Royal Milk, he's going to be taking a beating here. Oh wait, no, they transferred to the opposite side. They deny it.
Yep, why walk? That's what's so scary about Liquid Echo here. They can basically call fights wherever, whenever, and given that they have 1,000 gold lead with the very little effort they're putting in, it's dangerous. PX7 put down half health, in goes Dax. JP from the side lanes, jumping in the shortcut. Down goes Kid X, one more follows. Dax falls.
An instant response from Liquid Echo. And I was already curious whether Sanji really wanted to get the metamorphosis from Roger, of all people, with the IMU, right? Because there's so many other valuable ults, but he held onto it. You can see that he's utilizing the iframes. Keep in mind, when you use IMU, if there's the transform subtext underneath that ult, you get all the other abilities.
Yep, and he joined the fight as if he was Dax, as if he was the Roger, and that just pushes forward Liquid Echo's momentum even more. Now 2K ahead of their opponents. There's a interesting engage up here on Kid X. It's so tough being Kid X, man. Of everyone, I think, so far, he might be the only one who's actually comfortable. Like, he's the only one who can say, all right, I'm going to play defensive or offensive. When you say so, everyone else has to react to Liquid Echo.
I think... Oh, man. I think it's going to be a little difficult here, but let's see what's happening across the map.
All right. So far up top, Royal Milk is just holding his own. And again, Kid X is getting pushed out of his comfort compared to JP, right? But by JP, who is just doing everything he can to make this gap even larger. Now a level ahead, half an XP bar. Sanji not even leaving this lane, man. Picking up that enchanted talisman. And confirmed, Sanford indeed does greed out. First building the Hunter Strike as the turtle spawns.
Now, for anybody out there who's wondering, man, is Falcon Esports really running with Royal Milk on this Alucard to clear up confusion here? After investigation, and thankfully with Zipper in my ear telling me this, it is confirmed that FCON had made a human error and picked Alucard, so therefore they will continue the game with Alucard. And yeah, that's just the way it is.
Uh-oh, Kid X with the I'm offended. The fight continues. They take down Carl TZ. A 3v1 gank squad down bottom. Not much Benikid can do. Not at least at 5 minutes. This does open up a big objective for the Burmese squad. And then we go back into the match. Whoa! Resumed. That was BX7 taking that. What happened there?
Yeah, I mean, his flicker isn't back up, unfortunately. He lost it pretty early on, but now, oh!
The shortcut. JP says, let's go. Carlisi continues to wail away at the turtle. Respawned during the replay. And now Kid X, he can only hope and wish. Now he's going to get punished. There's the knockup. Carl TZ gets his sweet, sweet revenge.
Beauty of this, of all of this, is the fact that Falcon Esports are compensating a lot to make sure that they can actually make it to the later stages of the game where you actually feel relevancy. And surprisingly enough, Royal Milk is the one who breaks the tower on the top side of the map.
All right, at least that is one thing that the Alucard has, as much as it pains me to say, he's very sustainable. Even with the Brave Line, again, we alluded to this earlier on, compared to Lapu Lapu, who has to actually land the skills and be active in team fights with the bravest fighter and his iframes and damage reduction. Royal Milk can just plant himself into the lane and do, as he just did, take tier 1 up top, allowing for the rest of the map to open up for Falcon Esports.
And I think that Falcon Esports, I think this is a great way to kind of handle the situation despite the human error. But PX7, he's got to make sure that he minimizes his deaths. And most importantly, the battle spells need to be available.
Uh-oh, down bottom, I'm offended. A stolen ult from Sanji. Penny taken down, and they're not going to greed out. They're going to force back Falcon Esports as they penetrate into this. Oh, no waves.
Great clear coming in from Benny, right? At least he knew, if I'm going to die, I'm not going to lose my battle spell. They're definitely going to die me if this wave is here and take my tier 1. I might as well die, clear the wave, and guarantee that I can walk back in.
That's long-term planning from Benny, one of the more veteran members of Falcon Esports. Dax spots Carl TZ there. Carl TZ obliges. Let's go. Dax just playing footsies.
Yeah, they got to be really careful here. And I think what Liquid Echo is really good at is following up upon each other. Because I'm not going to lie, it's pretty difficult to land the chains sometimes, unless it's the enhanced chains. That's a different story. But when you do land that singular chain, the follow-up to the rest of Liquid Echo, it's overwhelming. Could this be a pick here? Could Dax be looking to bait something out? Because a lot of pressure on the bottom side of the map.
If anything, Dax is one of the few who can actually do that. Low committal, can actually just like and pounce out of dangerous situations. Kid X forcing a fight here. Benny Q, oh, nope. Benny at that. Benny Q just switches it up. Suddenly in the top lane, taking down Royal Milk. 1v1. And now the turtle, the last one on the map, secured here by Liquid Echo. As Falcon Esports just stays to their own side.
This game is so fast-paced. Like, both sides are struggling for tempo in their own way. Liquid Echo looking for more structures on the map, while Falcon Esports are trying to push and pull against them to see where exactly this pressure is going to be applied.
Yeah, struggle is a relative term. Like, for Liquid Echo, it's more of perfection. It's more of a polishing of what they're actually doing. For Falcon Esports, man, they're playing with less than a full hand, if you know what I'm saying. Like,
yeah.
They started with an Alucard, got the early push, and if you look at the stats, between a Moskov and a Roger, if there's a Roger on the map, it should win more often than not. But by the way the things are going, 7-1, about 5,000 between both. Oh,
now,
man.
I mean, people need to keep in mind that, like, Roger is flexible. It can go into the jungle, and it also can go into the gold lane. So that's why we have the theoreticals here and the number of matchups. 14 times we've seen this matchup, and it doesn't necessarily have to be in gold. So keep that in mind when we're looking at this data. For now, 60 seconds until the very first Lord spawns, and so far with the 5k gold lead that Liquid Echo has, like, I'm expecting Falcon Esports to just play safe and wait to counter-engage.
Just let it happen. All the more that they try to play with fire like this, calling out the shortcut. Benny once more in trouble. Benny wailing away, throwing out the spears. In comes Cavalry, literally, and they clap back. Down goes Benny Cutie. Dax going out hunting. JP up next, still alive, but just barely in comes Carl Easy with the chains, and they take one more down, make it another, serving up the human calculator, the apex predator, Sanford.
Oh my goodness. Let's look at the replay one more time. As they pull away, the first initial engagers are already down, but Sanford makes sure that they look real juicy in this fight as they fall into the enhanced chains and turn the fight around. Honestly, just a breath of fresh air to save them that fight. That could have easily been 4 kills.
Uh-oh.
He wouldn't.
No, don't do it. Don't greed out. This will
right.
punish Benny. There's no way Benny Cutie can survive that. But yeah, again, looked very, very dangerous for Liquid Echo there, but little did we know there was an interception from down bottom where Carl Tizzi would come through, and we're back at square one. Yeah, despite having a shutdown on to Benny Cutie, Falcon Esports back up against the corner, up against the ropes, could not even consider contesting that Lord.
As of right now, I feel like the meta is so tempo-based, right? That's what a lot of these teams are trying to do. It's not about like sticking around these neutral objectives because it's really difficult to stand around the Lord now, to play that Lord dance. So now it's about how much momentum can we generate, right? And more so, if somebody recalls, that might be just sacrificing a lane to a certain degree, right? That means it allows teams to set up for the potential dive, to cut off your waves and really dictate where the fight is going to be on your side of the map.
Which is one of the more smarter things that I think the devs have gotten done here in this current metagame. Made team fights a little faster. They made heroes move more around the map. And as you mentioned, a recall, that's as good as a technical knockout. Like, you're out of the fight unless you're like a Chip or like an Angela or a Moscow, which again is why these heroes are so in demand. You're out of the fight. That's it. You lost your team that opportunity. Carl Dizzy stealing away the orange, depriving Falcon Esports of these resources. Another chains up behind. Kidex in trouble. Oh no. The shortcut keeping him barely alive. And the Lord still swinging up top. Dax running through targets. Frigid Ice from a PX7, clearing the waves, popping the holy shields. They continue the aggression.
Well, this is interesting, though. Can they get the inhibitor? I feel like it was quite a bold move initially when we saw Sanford flicker forward onto Kidex and hopefully trying to trade flicker for flicker. And I think Kidex did a wonderful job pulling backwards and still surviving, because that battle spell is going to be the big difference in these upcoming fights.
He held his ground.
He held his
and
ground.
He needs this big ticket battle spell. It's what can allow for them to punish Liquid Echo even if they think they're safe, even if they're far from inhibitor range. Kidex can put them into turret range.
I think that what we're looking for is the counterplay ability that enables Falcon Esports to turn things around. But let's look at the gold distribution as of right now. In terms of minions, just well, okay, that didn't seem 100% correct there, but let's see. Dax already with the endless battle. Oh no.
Oh no, the counter playability to the counter playability, because you pull JP, he brings the rest of Liquid Echo with him, pops the shortcut, and Sanford just pops right back out, like just maybe 10, 15 feet away. It's like,
10, 15 feet.
I'll stay over here.
Yeah, I know. I totally agree. And I think this is a great timing for TLPH, because by the time that Lord spawns, JP is going to get his ult back up. And this is what I'm talking about when it comes down to tempo, right? Being able to dictate the fight with some foreshadowing and foresight of future things to happen, like neutral objectives, is so very important. But let's look at this Alucard build for a second, right? They've already got the Brute Force breastplate, going traditionally to, as you mentioned, that semi-tank build.
Yep, has the Queen's Wings, has the BFB, and I respect that, you know, game knows game, so if this is what he needs to build, if this is how he needs to play, so be it. Also rocking that Vengeance, again, we really haven't seen him last that much longer in fights. This hero is just not built for this level of play, so they're working with much less than they could. Now, the Lord just demolished here by Liquid Echo. As Benny Cutie works the opposite side of the map, Falcon Esports knows that this is the defense of a lifetime. Like, they have to clear this Lord, and they have to save their base at least. Like, that's bare minimum.
It's bare minimum for sure, but I definitely think that they exactly set up checkmate angle in the most efficient way possible. However, even though they don't have checkmate angle, look at that EXP difference. Sanford just bought the Winter Crown, and I'm guessing that Liquid Echo, they're going to dive for an inhibitor.
Yep, again, you're allowed to greed out in these kinds of situations. So he built the Hunter Strike first, went for a Winter Crown, and can now force a fight. Vengeance by Royal Mick already after the enhanced chains. Top lane inhibitor taken out. The base has been penetrated. Mid and bottom going to be up next. Lord still standing, taken care of by Falcon Esports.
Good defense coming in from Falcon Esports. You sacrifice one inhib, don't worry. But now the second wave start to come through, and it's now desynced.
Step by step, Falcon Esports knows what they have to protect. They know how they can keep this fight going. Now there's an enhanced wave down bottom. Sanford looking to make it stay. Goes down now. The jump in. The response from PX7. Down goes JP. But where's the clapback? Dax jumping through. Saves himself. Sanji with a stolen ult as well. Reset. And Kaldizi looking for one more. Pops the passive on the PX7. In comes Kid X after the conceal. Sends Liquid Echo packing.
Oh, man. As much as I would like to say that this is an incredible defense from Falcons, they're missing 2 inhibitors, which is going to affect them in the next 85 seconds when the next Lord spawns. It's going to be difficult to walk out, right? Because now Liquid Echo have so much tempo, and they can keep on holding it against Falcon. Oh, you want to walk up to the Lord? We'll just wait for the waves to push into your base. It's your choice.
Yep, I'll have to amend my statements about Sanford greeting out. It's actually him just bum rushing builds. Like, he's just having such a good time, an easy time on the map. 3-0 and 4 on this Lapu-Lapu that he was able to build not just a full Hunter Strike, not just a couple of good defensive items, but also the Winter Crown.
I think there is a certain level of foresight here, right? Because again, he's already got the Athena shield. He knows that Benny is going to be the big guy who chunks him out. And Dax, yes, he's already level 15, accelerated super fast into the game. But if he stops the Lycan Pounce reset, that's already a very big win for Liquid Echo. It forces Dax to actually take a step back and reconsider the options, even if he trades 1 for 1.
And that's just Sanford we're talking about. What else the rest of Liquid Echo? Again, JP, a one-man initiation machine. Sanji, just ever the versatile Swiss Army knife of both engage, crowd control, damage, and then you have Benny Cutie, who we really haven't seen much doing, right? So that means he's just a soon-built artillery machine. Like, he's only really been working on turrets.
I mean, he has only been working on turrets, but let's not forget, the last time we were casting Liquid Echo, I mentioned it before, it's about the insurance policies. And Benny, he's up there. He's just like, we got the premium on this one. He's got full build. He also made sure that he has the winds of nature, but at the same time, his counterpart, Benny from Falcon Esports, he's full build.
That's right. Yeah, so Benny is also a force to be reckoned with, has to be respected. Because again, yeah, Sanford does have in a shield, but that can only last so long. He has to pick a target. It has to be PX7, it has to be Dax, or maybe even Benny, but it's just one of those at a time.
I think the hardest part is that even if they want to get multiple people, if you commit too hard on PX7, right now he doesn't have his passive, but when it comes back up, that's when Liquid Echo really have to kind of shift their objectives. But at the same time, right, when we're talking about the Frigid Glacier, it is a large area that it covers. It's a huge AoE, especially once you're kind of funneled in towards the crystal.
Which makes Liquid Echo's job not impossible, but relatively difficult despite the draft having been compromised for Falcon Esports. Like, they are making the most of a bad situation. Now they're looking for the GG push. Mid lane up next on the docket. Massive Lord up top. Dax put down a half health after 3 spears from Benny Cutie. A force of nature. Royal Milk is still holding on to his ult, holding on to his battle spell. Already a little bit of a pull from Sanji. The stolen ult from Kid X. And that's all very low members. Royal Milk falls. Lord has fallen as well. Sanford coming into the back line. Bravest fighter into 3. Gets his immortality pop. The base is still standing, but taken down just as quickly. Liquid Echo scores 1.
Wow, what a fight. What a base defense right at the very end. It was really difficult to tell who technically was winning, but it looks like, as I mentioned before, very together TLPH cracked down on the crystal. A split-second decision when they recognized, hey, this fight, it might not go our way.
Being very together could not have been all the more well-timed. They needed to clump up, juggle the base aggro, because again, if that lasted 2 or 3 seconds longer, wherein Falcon Esports had their
in from both teams. We got to see if Falcon can win this one. But with that being said, we're throwing it over to our casters.
I have to say, this is one of the very, very much older draft coming in from Falcons Esports. And not to mention that even for TLPH, they're coming in from a blast from the past, nostalgic draft, utility jungler, plus a Kaja.
To be fair, I am getting Back to the Future vibes from both because, again, who expected to see the Kufra come out today? And who'd have thought that up until the very last pick, Liquid Echo would swerve us by putting the Roger back into the gold and putting a very comfortable hero into the hands of Carl Deasy. He gets his Akai.
I mean, it's a beautiful draft here from both of these teams, both looking to get a win against each other as we go into the second match here at the Land of Dawn. Falcons Esports on blue side, Liquid Echo on red. I'm expecting things to get exciting at level 4, but immediately Sanji losing out his... Whoa, okay, a flicker coming in from Kidex as well. That is rather strange. I guess maybe he had an opportunity?
What you call a face check?
That is called a face check. I mean, Sanji is missing his Purify.
Oh, so he did force it to trigger. That's about a minute until Sanji gets it back. And this is, oddly enough, Sanji forced to respond. He's forced to just hunker down and get his EXP. He doesn't want to go home.
I think at this point of time, there's just, it's too much of a sacrifice to get a TKO so early on into this match, but he does find the trade back. Bang! Can they break the passive? Oh, beautiful stuff.
They know. Kid X jumping in, catches JP, and Sanji hitting the basics and the skills.
Oh, this is so rough. This is so rough. From what previously I thought that Liquid Echo, man, without that mid lane, maybe they lose Lethal Wanderer. Luckily, Carl Deasy is able to win out on that retreat. But even worse so, having to recall for the side of PX7 and missing out an entire wave on top of that, he's going to be a full level behind eventually.
Yep, so what Falcon Esports look to start against Sanji, claps back against him. Sanji holding his ground here. And the jump by Kid X! Could this be it? Oh, the bouncing ball keeping him stationary. Oh, the Burmese draw first blood.
Oh, man. It looks like Sanji is a little uncomfortable dealing with this with Kid X right now on this Kufra. To be fair, it has been a while since we see Kufra come back into these types of games. We've seen only one other time beforehand that Kufra came into play professionally here at MSC. But for the most part of it, Liquid Echo, they got a code switch here.
Yep, now we have the turtle up. Carl Deasy holding his ground. Kid X looking for an angle. In retry range, Carl Deasy gonna go ahead and get it. Heavy spin on a Kid X, keeping him in place. Sanford gets a kill. And Royal Milk can only watch.
Take the freebies while you still can. Good thing that Liquid Echo is keeping a timer on the battle spells. Kid X still 2 seconds off until he gets it. At the same time, we do see the Ling has been roaming around the map, making sure that he's picking up as much gold as possible. It's really important that you don't lose pressure off of your EXP and as well as your mid lane, because that could result in losing a purple buff. And I mean, Ling and purple buff, they go hand in hand.
That's so Dax. Even if he wasn't playing a Ling, this is the tempo he would like to go at. Up until when he's ready, that's when he's gonna snap the finger, put on the kill switch, and say it's go time. I'm assuming maybe at least 2 core items for him, 2 solid items for the Ling before he actually joins anything, and he's far off, man. Far off.
He's pretty far off. It's gonna take some time. I think this is gonna be a slow burner for the most part of it, unless, you know, we see Liquid Echo kind of like break up apart. But notice them, right? They're moving in kill squads. They're making sure they don't give opportunities. And
oh, nice dodge. Benny Cutie smelled something in his midst, and he lets go. Look at that aggressive first built Sky Piercer.
Yep, he loves doing this, right? He doesn't deviate too much from his build the majority of the time. He usually has 2 go-tos, but as of right now, I think the biggest concern is whether... all right, does he get it?
PX7 gets hit with a stolen ult. The jump in once more from Kid X. Hyperactive. This roamer from Falcon Esports. Carl Deasy catches a freeze from PX7 in mid. Oh, I think what they're doing is they're forcing a response from Dax here. The pull! Divine Judgment! Benny Cutie scores a kill on a Kid X.
Yeah, I think as of right now, the rotations coming in from Falcon Esports needs a little bit of foresight, right? I like what they're doing. They're kind of like compromising that mid lane, forcing Sanji to not really walk out of it, but the side lanes are coming at a big cost, right? Benny Cutie is a full level ahead at this point of time, and I think that he has a slight gold lead at this point of time. Top side ends up missing 2 minions on that rotation down to the mid, and I think at this point, Falcon Esports really need to consider how exactly do we approach this? Do we take JP out first and then consider going for more, or do they keep targeting Sanji?
Oh, here we go. I'm offended. putting Sanford in trouble, forced to flicker out. There's the Primal Wrath. Lord still standing. Kid X gonna go down here. Unless Benny Cutie finds Sue in the west. Down goes one. Kid X taken out. There's the passive on a PX7. Benny Cutie eventually finds his prey. The fight continues. Liquid Echo starting Turtle Pit and all the way right into Falcon Esports jungle.
Yeah, I mean, they're running real fast. Let's look at the replay one more time because they committed so much onto Sanford and was not able to find that kill. As soon as they're out of resources, that's when you see the clap back. I mean, Falcon Esports, it's at this point of time, they need to kind of slow their roll a little bit. Yes, you can use your resources aggressively like JP flipping forward, but for the most part of it, you're going to need at least two, like you mentioned, 2 items before they get some real profit.
Yep, so he's got the Berserker's Fury, but something tells me Falcon Esports, they're not happy with the pace that Dax is farming at. Like, they want him to double time. They want him to hustle. Looking at their net worth and their items so far, it seems like it's Benny who's just on schedule. It's just Benny who's been farming up relatively carefree compared to everyone else, and I'm not so sure that's the insurance policy they're looking for.
Yeah, I mean, considering that Benny QT was able to join that fight, pick up 2 kills, and an assist on top of that, like...
They're gonna come back.
Well, we'll see, because right now, even when we're comparing EXP, like, Akai is pretty huge, and this is the influence we were talking about.
Yeah, Carl TZ, now look at this, asserting dominance. I dare you, Dax, I dare you. You want this purple buff? Come take it. He can't. Carl TZ stole it away. Grand Theft Purple. Carl has 2 stars.
And that's why I consider to be world's greatest jungler of all time. It's so brutal. It's so brutal what Liquid Echo is just doing to Falcon Esports, right? It's not like game 1 where it was about tempo. Now it's about, hey, we've already gotten through the early phase of this game. The real question is, how many mistakes is Falcon Esports going to make?
And it's less about them just tripping up. Liquid Echo are dropping banana peels. Aggressively so. Like, all right, put it here, put it here, put it here. That turtle, the purple fight, right? That was clearly a ego check by Carl Dean and say, you're going to have to do better than that. And again, this is an Akai. He can just click heavy spin whenever he's ready. Speaking of, it's off of cooldown. I don't think there's much they can do here to secure this turtle unless... Oop, clean take.
Very
yeah, Liquid Echo wants to force Falcon out of here.
I don't think. I guess he's just looking for more information here, right? He does notice where PX7 is, and I think Carl TZ is at a point, where he is just pretty unkillable at this point in time. They don't have a dedicated tank buster as well, and I don't think Benny has enough items to really take him down. Hopefully, the item list pops up because I'm assuming that Carl TZ is going to opt for some kind of MR. Yeah, there it is.
Here we go. MR on the way, right? He actually bum rushed the blade armor.
Yeah.
Because he's prepping up for Royal Milks, basic attacks. He's prepping up for Dax, just in case. Doesn't need it anyways, right? Now they continue. They choke out the purple. The I'm Offended coming in from Royal Milk. The jump in from Kid X, but PX7 falls first. Now it's going sideways. Double kill for the Typhoon. Benny Cutie. It's out here in Riyadh. Ooh. Triple kill for Benny. And they convert into a mid lane tier 2 off camera, though. We see Benny pushing out. Can Kyle find him? Oh. Yes, he does. Gets the basic. Recalls for good measure. Where you going, little boy?
No.
Oh, Benny, he's going to be fine, though. He's all right.
I mean, but they're losing so much tempo off of this, right? Look at this. Now Liquid Echo can start moving around the map freely. The next wave that comes in, Benny has to completely sacrifice this.
Yep.
And without that recall, now he has nowhere on the map where he can find that farm. And look, they faked him out so hard. They're just letting the minions do the work.
That's right. They undid his hard work. Here's a quick look at the replay. Honestly, in such a small piece of the map, again, this is just the purple jungle for Falcon Esports. So many things happened. Like, there were so many little fights that Benny Cutie had to keep tabs on to clean up.
Yeah, I think, coming from Liquid Echo's perspective, it's like a 2-pronged attack. It's like there's purple buff, which is super important for Dax, but all of a sudden PX7 is out of position because of that. And that's why I'm saying, how many mistakes positionally can you make from the side of Falcon Esports when you want that traditional front to back and you get hit from 2 sides, especially now that the mid-tier 1 has been opened up and even the Tier 2 already cracked open. At this point, Liquid Echo can basically walk around effectively and force Falcon Esports into these forced errors.
And look at that, off camera. We didn't even have to see it much happening. They did more than just blitz it. They casually took the Lord. Scored here by Liquid Echo. Now look at the item gap between these heroes, lane per lane. 1,000 between the Ling and the Akai is much more miserable when you think that damage items are more expensive than tank items.
Totally agree with that. But at the same time, right, keep in mind that Dax is one of the only people who can actually extend this game. A missed time offended coming in from Royal Milk. Good attempt. But yeah, hopefully Dax is able to continuously proxy these waves to stall things out. Because right now, it's almost a 10k gold lead on the very first Lord.
Yep. Talking about that proxying, luckily, Liquid Echo does not have the likes of a Chip or a Moskov. So their responses are actually all-in responses. They have to commit. And what was that? A
Wait.
forced flicker on Kid X. Oh, he walked into a lethal bush. Now Benny gonna go hunting. Chases him down. Forces a conceal play. Now Kid X coming in with the jump. The full combo, Revenge and Rage. And Benny Kid is gonna casually scratch away.
These are not atypical mistakes made by Falcon Esports. I don't know. It feels like they might have been a little tilted from game number one because this game pretty much feels pretty... honestly, it feels pretty over for them, right?
Scattered.
It's... I don't see an angle.
Oh, Divine Judgment on Royal Milk. He's expired in mid. They're going to jump in the heavy spin. Up and change BX7 zip code. Send him straight through. Popping his passive.
Oh.
Is taken down. Here comes Dax. Tempest of Blades right in. Trying to clear the waves. They're down 2 men. This is dangerous.
It's very dangerous, and honestly, something's telling me that Sanji in his past life was an EXP laner and only played Ruby or some sort, because he is just hitting every single stall, and I'm offended.
He was once a jungler. Not much I've learned from interviews, but I don't know about EXP laners.
I mean, I don't know. He doesn't seem to miss. Every single I'm offended has been like extending their lead or just game breaking.
That's what ended the last game.
And I think it's going to continue into this one, right? At this point, I don't see a foreseeable future for Falcon Esports to bounce back unless we see Liquid Echo make a huge mistake. And even then, I feel like they can stat check Falcon Esports for the most part, even if it is the penultimate play.
Yeah, that's what makes these utility jungler-based lineups work so well. They're so well-rounded. They're not a coin flip from Assassins where, all right, I made the wrong entry or I didn't burst on the right person. You can find re-engages, and they come relatively cheap. I mean, sure, you have to wait close to a minute when you flub the heavy spin, but that aside, you have so many safe angles to attack from. 20 seconds until this next Lord comes up. Yeah, Dax is close to it, but I don't think he's looking to contest. He's just looking to extend the life that they have here in this game.
Oh my goodness, he's about to get one
no.
shot.
Oh, no.
He doesn't get the
Jump
lightning
in.
bounce.
Wall from wall. Dax run. Dax finally lands. Not enough energy to go. Tempest of Blades through. Gonna get this sword. Get a few hits. He's burning. He's burning. It's hot. He's burning. He survives. Cyclone Eye out. Kid X trying to go put up the wall through, but Benny Cutie jumps in. Tracking. Dax taking him down. Now it's Kid X's turn to get punished. Double kill for Benny Cutie. Wallace while Carl Deasy was taking the Lord. How many stacks does this young man have on his spear, sir?
Ah, that's gotta be so upsetting. Kid X walks out, tries to conceal his boy Dax so that they can both freely walk away with the extra movement speed. They saw the conceal being used by Liquid Echo, so they had no real means to catch up. And now Benny QT has been just taking all of these kills, 8-0-3, and has a GDS. This man is living in the future.
He's running on all fours. Even in human form, it looks like he's in Lycan form. That's how fast he is. Another flicker and a Divine Judgment. Royal Milk taken out by Sanji. The 1 and 2, the alley-oop. Forcing out Tempest of Blades here from Dax. Put in Lord here. At a quarter of its health, a 10th of its health. Taken down. They're alive, but barely breathing. Turret taken down in mid. Top lane as well. It's a bear base left for the Burmese. Are they going to be a match point? Liquid Echo going in with a stampede. Betty's going to try to defend, but it's over. 2-0 for the champions of FPL Philippines.
Oh my goodness, what a brutal game this was. What an absolute beatdown from LPH. Whenever you're expecting to see Falcon Esports bounce back, they take away their resources. They're giving them leg kick upon leg kick upon leg kick.
And that just stops you from getting up even. Don't even think about throwing out strikes of your own.
Yeah, I mean, your ankle's honestly breaking at this point. I think at this point, Falcon Esports, they need to calm down. They cannot be making these simple mistakes time and time again. And I think, unfortunately, yeah, this is a very tempo-based meta that they have to really consider how to make those first approaches effective.
I'm thinking they should just regroup, start at 0, find that groove back, find the spirit.
All right, well, with that being said, let's throw it over to our analyst once again. Break it down for us. What could have been done better?
I mean, honestly, when it comes to what comes down better, I kind of feel like it starts in the draft because, again, I feel like this Kufra pick going up against Kaja, it's kind of a rough matchup, at least for me.
Yeah, rough to deal with. I like the idea of, they picked up the Ling, and we've seen teams find success with these assassins, but this makes me also kind of go back a little bit and think, man, you know what? Utility junglers like this Old Faithful Akai pick from Carl Teasy still work really well as well.
And the reason why it works so well is that because they knew how to utilize it from the early game to the latter portions of the game. One of the traits of the Carl Teasy Akai is that it is never going to be under-leveled. And typically, teams that fail with the Akai get under-leveled. So much, get punished so much, but TLPH just knows how to farm well and protect their own jungle. And also, I think Benikute just is very comfortable with this hero. As well as Sanji. Sanji with the Ruby plays always just keeps his tabs on copying the I'm offended, and was always on point with it as well.
Yeah, I would say, again, Carl is the GOAT. He has mastered the damage dealer assassins. He's mastered the utility jungler assassins because we've seen him actually using the heavy spin. I would say aggressively and defensively. Like we've seen the Kufra engages getting canceled by his heavy spin. So I kind of feel like this is one of those situations where I do have to say that the draft was won by TLPH because they have multiple answers towards the problem that Falcon Esports present.
Man, just looking at this, like Gideon said, it was, a beatdown. It was very rough. Look at just the disparity in terms of the gold gain of the items even. And that's always, I feel like, coin flip you play, like Leo mentioned. When you pick an assassin and you start wrong, it's already difficult to make it work, but if you start off on a bad note or behind, getting back in position to even things out is even more difficult.
It seems like TLPH, them knowing how to utilize the assassin junglers means that they also know how to counter it. And the answer is always the Valentina. It kind of revolves around, especially when you're given access to the Ruby, because the combo, so it seems, for FCON is Link plus Ruby.
Yeah.
And they also utilize the Ruby plus the Roger. So it's like the Ruby will always be part of the composition of the wish list that they're always doing, which means that now the Valentina is going to be having a lot more stock because you counter the enemy jungler and you also kind of counter the roamer / the EXP laner for this one. So maybe for FCON, ban the Valentina next game.
Personally as well, I kind of feel like this is a bad matchup of rock, paper, scissors where Falcon wants to win in the later stages of the game, but TLPH is very good at ramping up their advantages because, again, 1,000 gold feels like 6,000, 7,000 for TLPH. So they're coming in with the draft and they're coming in with the game plan. It's like, okay, we stall, we try to contest for some turtles, but our main plan is to just win team fights against TLPH. But the thing is, you got to figure out how to slow them down. And I feel like that's the biggest problem. Falcon Esports cannot find a way to slow down TLPH.
I mean, even if you look back at the MPL Philippines Grand Finals, at that point, Falcon's AP Bren couldn't find a way to slow down, Liquid Echo here.
Yeah.
And that seemed to be the case even throughout MSC so far.
Yeah, and honestly, I do feel like they have to make a bit of a risk coming into game number 3. I'm not talking about letting go the chips or Louis. I kind of feel like that's a little bit too much, but change your game plan, change your mindset to win one lane, either mid,